So here is an Elizabeth Warren like organizer, absolutely fucking cumstering Ben Shapiro, making him shake in his fucking little boots. Okay, little size, 4.5 booties that he's wearing. I suspect because he's 5'3". They're elevator shoes though, so it's fine. This is absolutely amazing. You have to watch it. 2 minutes. All of Ben Shapiro's anti-woke tirades are just destroyed. Imagine getting owned by an Elizabeth Warren student organizer. Lamau is what I said. And then I apologize, saying I apologize if this is a fan of mine. Some of you guys have been popping off on Ben Shapiro. So let's take a look. I mean, this is really good. This is really, really good. Only because Ben is like super flustered in it, and I love that. I love when Ben gets super flustered. It just makes me happy. You know what I mean? So I'm a fan of things like that. Those are good things. We should do more of those things.
I don't.
Hold up. Okay. Why didn't he delete the video? Why would he? His fan base doesn't care. They don't see it as a own. You have to realize that like these guys are deeply entrenched in conservative ideology, and this person, like, he's giving queer coded enough for people to be like, oh, nope, that's over. He's a fucking lib. He's a lib. You know what I mean? He has like a softer voice. So immediately conservatives are going to be like, well, my main daddy is fucking saying you're wrong. And I agree with my main debate daddy. I'm a debate pervert. And this person is probably like some cringy fucking lib. So that's it.
Know much about you, so I have a series of back and forth questions, if that's okay, just before I ask my question.
How did Ben get owned? Mike from PA just thought it was a meaningless back and forth. It was. That's such is the nature of debates. So as long as you fluster your opponent, that's it. Put him on the back foot is a wrap. What debate perverts celebrate, that's it. He's basically stating like wokeism is just something that conservatives have created and cultivated. And I've only heard about it being described in the way that it's been described by conservatives.
So do you come from Holocaust survivors, or are you a Jewish family that didn't?
So my great-great-grandparents arrived here. A lot of our extended family was killed in the Holocaust, but our immediate family...
Your great-great-grandparents, but not your grandparents.
Right.
I gotta do you have friends whose grandparents were Holocaust survivors or anything like that?
Of course, many of them. Yeah, I've helped write memoirs of Holocaust survivors.
Yeah. Their families are kind of messed up, right? Like my family is very messed up.
I mean, if you go through a trauma like the Holocaust, I would imagine
they teach that trauma between generations. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, trauma very often in a lot of circumstances is passed down. I mean, I know some kids of Holocaust survivors who turned out fantastic and some who didn't. I mean,
yeah. Okay, so you are officially woke. That is what wokeness is about. It's like, people's grandparents or their great-grandparents were slaves.
Well, it's okay. No, it's okay. Guys,
fuck you, I'm talking.
Guys, I actually want to hear. I want to hear.
No,
it's okay. It's okay. I want to hear. Let's at least hear the argument. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Go.
What? He wants to hear me.
I do want to hear it. It's fine. Let him go. Let's hear it.
Come on. I'll just.
So explain how that's woke.
So I mean, the whole thing is like. Oh, let's see. So during Silent Cal, Calvin Coolidge's administration, do you know about like the Great Mississippi Flood back in the 1930s?
I understand that American history is filled with racial evil.
Yeah. And that causes some intergenerational trauma, which affects people's ability to be, effective, things like that.
Fine. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So if the idea is that history has consequences, of course that's true. That's not wokeness.
Yeah.
That is not wokeness. What wokeness suggests is that fundamental institutions in American society
are so... No, it doesn't.
Yes, it 100% does.
I ran Elizabeth Warren's campaign. I helped organize her volunteers around here.
Okay, to be fair, like, I would laugh at that too, okay? It's fucking Elizabeth Warren. But anyway, listen, this is a well-intentioned guy, okay? So let's give him the time of day.
I am a representative of wokeness.
Okay, well,
and that's just, this is all it is.
Well, I hope that...
I don't get it. Warren and Bernie is the same team. This is why we lose. Yeah, no, totally. That's why we lose. Yes, you're right. Because people think Warren and Bernie were on the same team, and Elizabeth Warren did not drop out and fucking offer full-throated support to Bernie Sanders when it was very obvious that she wasn't going to not only lose, but even lose in her own fucking home turf, you know? And did it thinking that she would get a position in the Biden camp, okay? God damn, dude. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Mélenchon in France literally just recently. It's always, you're right, it's always the same thing. If you have no realistic shot at fucking winning, then yeah, offer support to the person who is ideologically in your lane. But that wasn't Elizabeth Warren's point. Elizabeth Warren ran as a spoiler. Unless you mean, you know, that this is why the left loses, because, you know, they run as spoilers to other viable candidates on purpose. Biden campaign won, though. Yeah, he did. Look how great that's been so far. And look where Elizabeth Warren is on the Biden camp. By the way, I think this kid is doing a pretty good job of describing intergenerational trauma and systemic oppression to Ben Shapiro by using something that Ben Shapiro talks about and cares about. A concept that he not only understands but advocates for. Intergenerational trauma for Jews as a consequence of systemic oppression that they faced and continue to face, like remnants of such oppression. So he's doing a good job. Like, this is a perfect fucking way to craft an argument for someone like Ben Shapiro. Okay?
When I went to go get...
He cares about racism, Lamau. Wait, who, Ben? No, he doesn't give a fuck about racism. Get the fuck out of here. But he cares about racism as far as he can be racist. Within the confines of, like, acceptable public discourse. Yeah, he loves racism. He's like, it's my favorite thing. I need to see it more and more in my movies. I love racism. I want more of it. So it's great because he himself is Jewish as well. So Ben can't turn around and be like, you're anti-Semitic immediately. Like, he literally hit him with the fucking, I have immediate relatives, like closer relatives than you, that were victims in the Holocaust. Like, got murdered in the Holocaust. So he already hit that card he slammed the card on the table, okay? And he was like, hey, what's up? You know? And now he's going in for the kill by making an adequate comparison between black people and the systemic abuse that they withstood in the United States of America and how our systems were designed in a way to oppress black people and the outcomes of said oppression and the intergenerational trauma in a way that Ben understands. So that's actually a really good way to fucking debate lord a debate pervert, okay? So, hats off, shouts out to the fucking Elizabeth Warren campaign organizer, Andy. Very good.
At my first tattoo, the guy had lightning bolts and 88s tattooed on his neck. And as a Jewish person, that's really messed up. It's basically a threat.
There are racist people.
Now he's trying to describe that, like, you know, Ben should, in a way that Ben can understand, seeing remnants of that same kind of, power struggle from the side of the oppressor in contemporary society is going to very clearly create an environment of hostility. Now, the overarching argument here is most likely going to be around the overarching argument here is most likely going to revolve around why certain imagery in college campuses invoke feelings, especially when the unrecognized trauma or the systemic abuse is continuing, okay? Like, there's a difference between, like, that's why you don't want to invite Nazis to a college campus, because when you invite a Nazi to a college campus, all of a sudden, that leads to a less safe space for all of the victims, the marginalized communities. It's not just about the fifis, okay, of Jewish people or trans people or black people or people just that do not fit the in-group that the Nazis are supposedly trying to defend, but it's more so the legitimate hostility in that environment when you legitimize the point of view and the perspective of a neo-Nazi by inviting them over to your college campus. Okay? And he's using that. He's using the neo-Nazi argument and the intergenerational trauma from the Holocaust and the systemic oppression that Jews have withstood as a way to basically draw a comparison for trans people and for black people. Let's continue.
Who exist. The argument that you're making, and I'm going to close with this because this is going in weird directions, and I don't really want to.
No.
It's going in a weird direction where Ben is literally getting fucking cumstered. Okay, that's the direction it's going to. And not only that, but he's getting owned by, you know, a soft-spoken Warrenite, okay? A radlib, if you will.
It's not
I don't really want to get. Just hold up a second. I let you get out your arguments, and now it's time for me to respond because I let you say the full argument.
I'll let you respond, but
no, not but. Now's my turn.
You are not characterizing what I'm saying accurately.
Now it's my turn. Your definition is inaccurate. The reason your definition is inaccurate is because any sentient human being would acknowledge that history has consequences.
Right.
But if the idea is, but that's not what wokeism is. Wokeism is a different thing. Wokeism suggests that all inequalities of today are attributable to not only historic injustices, but also continuing injustices in the now, and that all.
Wait, first of all, Ben turns around and says, I'm actually going to redefine what you're stating by basically saying the exact same thing. Okay? And so if you're going to rewrite the definition of a concept that you yourself came up with anyway, because like no one's like, I'm a wokeist. You know what I mean? That's not a real thing, right? Why not just like make it look dumber? You literally just said, Every human being with a brain cell believes that systemic issues or historic precedents have consequences, you know? Historic precedents and like things that happen throughout history, of course, have consequences on human beings and the way that they live on a daily basis. But wokeism is something different. It's when historic things have consequences on people that are living in the past and also people that are living in the present. That's different. It's like, well, no, you just basically repeated the thing that you previously agreed on. Very strange. You could have done you could have crafted a better, like, weaker argument. If you're going to strawman your opponent, don't fucking, don't go off and like, and admit that there's, the argument is exactly the same.
Disparity is attributable to discrimination, not just the injustices in the now, and that all disparity is attributable to discrimination, not just that.
A conservative is the only person, and I want to know why. Why is it that conservatives...
I guess he's trying to make it seem like all matter, like a black person stubs their toe, and that's because of racism. Like, I think he's trying to... The straw manning on that part is like, all matter of discrimination, all forms of discrimination actually comes from... prior historical context. I think that's what he's like trying to bastardize it into. He didn't do a really good job of describing that. He wasn't able to get that fucking straw man off, I think. But, for example, if a black person stubs their toe on a Lego, that's racism. That's not racism, actually. Okay, well, yeah, that's not, no one made that argument. That's not a thing. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, in and of itself, for all the debate perverts in here, you guys know me as the guy who's incapable of debating and refuses to because he can't face the truths. But, like, that's a logical fallacy. What Ben Shapiro is doing, and the reason why he is a decent debate pervert in comparison to all of those other debate perverts, is that he is able to try to very quickly and swiftly rationalize a logical fallacy in an argument, okay? Whether it be gish galloping, whether it be an argument absurdum, I think that's what it's called, right? Like, it's just, he fires off multiple logical fallacies and then tries to very quickly rationalize them without their opponent understanding that they're doing that. And that's precisely why he's considered an extremely skilled, rhetorically gifted debate pervert. He strawmanned, and then he engaged with the strawman by pushing it to its logical extreme that no other sane person would actually make an argument around. The reduction ad absurdum. Let's continue.
Are the only people who define it like that. Why are conservatives...
And I think that our boy here did a pretty good job of stopping Ben in his tracks and saying, that's not true. only conservatives are the ones who describe wokeism like that.
The only people.
Okay. So we're gonna have to stop here because this is going nowhere. But
What's up?
I'm gonna have to stop with you because this is going nowhere. All I'm going to say is this. To sum up.
It's not going nowhere. It's going to a place that you don't want it to go to, because for the first time ever, you are dealing with someone who, at the very least, is able to say, you're wrong. Stop putting words in my mouth. This is what's actually going on. When you're not talking to a college freshman that is flustered for being in front of a massive fucking audience for the first time ever with your pre-canned speech and your talking points that you have pre-established and honed for the past fucking 20 years that you've been doing this, that you got from the Heritage Foundation, you have to run away. And that's precisely what Ben is doing here. Mr. Freedom of Speech, Mr. I think all speech should, especially frustrating speech, should be allowed on college campuses, is straight up utilizing his position of authority in this circumstance to silence opposing speech because he could not do it. He could not deal with it. Many such examples exist. One of the immediate ones that comes to mind is the BBC interview that he had with what's that old fucking Tory piece of shit's name? I mean, he fucking eviscerated Ben, but he is Andrew Neil. Andrew Neil, when Andrew Neil and Ben Shapiro were having a conversation, and Ben Shapiro started calling Andrew Neil a liberal progressive. I mean, Andrew Neil is not a progressive by any right. We can watch that as well. He's Scottish, by the way. Okay, shut up. But he's not like that kind of Scottish. But yeah, here, let's see what
I'm trying to understand your perspective.
He says, I'm just trying to see your perspective. And immediately the crowd starts booing. It seems as though Ben is on the back foot here. And for some reason, the crowd is not responding in a way where they would, side with who the intellectual giant is here. Because obviously, debate perverts love Ben Shapiro because he puts people on the back foot. Okay? Ben owns people in the free marketplace of ideas, right? That's why people love him. That's why he's the intellectual giant, the gladiator of the right in the marketplace of ideas. And yet here, his debate opponent is doing the same thing that Ben does to other people and causing Ben to be flustered. And yet his audience is not reacting in a way that they normally would. They're not turning around and making compilation videos about this guy saying like he fucking owned him. They're not turning around and going, maybe Ben isn't all that right in this circumstance. And that's precisely why I always say debates are pseudo-intellectual wrestling, WWE. For dumb people.
I disagree.
Your perspective.
On it. Is this?
What? What's up?
I'm going to have to stop with you because this is going nowhere. All I'm going to say is this. To sum up,
I just am trying to understand your perspective.
On it.
Just one more second. On a
fundamental level, you're shifting definitions to avoid the consequences of your.
Look at that. Someone ran in and literally put their fucking hand physically on the microphone to stop this person's takes. They were so scary for this crowd of young conservatives to hear. They thought, wow, we can't have this person. We cannot have this person converse in this setting no longer. I mean, the things that he's saying, they are too hard to hear. That's crazy. That's wild. Let's run it again. Let's run that back. I want to see it again.
All I'm going to say is this. To sum up,
I just am trying to understand your perspective.
On it.
Just one more.
Thank you for the 5 tier 1 gift sub 60-watt silver lining. He says, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want to hear your perspective. That's what he said.
On a fundamental level, you're shifting definitions to avoid the consequences of your own argument. And if the idea is.
And now they're debating the efficacy of debates all of a sudden, or whether or not this debate is happening. Look how quickly Ben Shapiro, when backed into a corner, in the most Weasley fucking way he can, shifts the conversation to, well, you're actually not following the sanctity of the pre-established debate confines that we have created. You are not an interlocutor that I would like to see no longer, sir. That's what he's doing, because he's fucking Weasley, and he's weaseling his little fucking way out of that conversation because he has nothing else to say. He's flustered. He's on the fucking back foot. He's backpedaling. And this kind of shit does make me really happy, I'm going to be honest. As much as I hate debate perverts, I personally love watching a debate pervert like this get demolished thoroughly, piece by piece. And anyone who says that this is like not a good example of what happens to a debate pervert on the back pedal is wrong. Ultimately, you know, inconsequential. It's not actually productive. No one in that room is going to ever second guess Ben Shapiro's takes or anything like that. But you know, it doesn't matter. It's good because it demoralized Ben, and I like that. It makes me happy because I'm fucking driven by spite, just like conservatives are.
And final point. And final point. And final point. If you are going to hold on, if you are also, just final point to sum up there.
Wow, a group of young Americans, you know, youngest person in that crowd being like 55, are celebrating the fact that someone was swiftly removed for the crime. And I mean the crime, the criminal act of trying to have a conversation with Ben Shapiro. Perhaps conservatives don't care about free speech after all. My, oh my, I am shocked. Let me tell you how shocking this is. Oh my Lord.
Final point to say.
I can follow that.
Yeah,
but,
I just want to make, honestly,
go ahead.
I want to make one final point to sum up there. If the idea is that traumas of the past invariably bleed down into the present, that does not explain.
Now that he has like adequately silenced his opposition, who can't actually retaliate or respond, he's going to then, most likely, I assume, misinterpret what he is saying and add on additional strawmen to that, and then end up attacking the strawman.
Also,
he's moving
just
away.
Final point to sum up there.
Yeah, you got him. You got him, brother.
Final point to say.
I can follow that.
Yeah,
but,
one more.
He's gonna do the shower boxing. That's what he's gonna do. You know when you're in the playground, okay, when you're at school, and you get fucking owned by the bully, okay, and then later that night you're taking a shower and you're like, I would have fucking had like such a better take. That's what he's going to do, okay? No, not shadow boxing, shower boxing, okay? I used shadow boxing and shower thoughts and I combined them, okay? Because that's when your best ideas come to mind. When you're in the fucking shower and you're thinking like, man, if I only fucking told that bully like, you know, your mom sucked my dick or something, everyone would be fucking clapping at the playground. God damn it. Yes, by the way, this is literally, I mean, this is incredibly specific because it's something that has happened to me, and I'm sure all of you guys have had, you know, similar thoughts. So anyway, no, you're gay. Yeah, that would have been exactly. That's like, yeah, exactly. No, you're gay. Boom. Fucking owned, dude. Oh my God, that would have popped off in like 1998. You know what I mean? That's owned. I'm gay. Well, I sucked your dad's dick. What? Oh man. Okay. Let's finish.
Well, I just want to make, honestly, I want to make one final point to sum up there. If the idea is that traumas of the past invariably bleed down into the present, that does not explain why certain groups that have been historically not only marginalized but slaughtered in mass genocide are some of the most successful groups in our society.
Yeah. Perhaps the continuation of systemic oppression did not extend in the same capacity to certain groups as it did to others, because they were not considered to be the backbone of labor in the same way that, like, you know, chattel slavery happened. But of course, you know, he's just straight up hitting that line. That's cool. That room is full of the easiest people to troll online as well. Oh yeah, 100%.
So if the idea is,
oh my God, what a fit, dude. Motherfuckers make fun of my fits, but are you joking? Look at my boy here, dude. What is... Oh, this is hurt, dog. This is hurt, okay? Straight up. What the fuck? Would you debate Ben Shapiro if you had the chance? I know you don't ever want to do debates without being insane. No, I've always maintained the position that, like, I will debate clouded people straight up. I don't have a problem with that. What do you mean? I'll debate clouded people or I'll debate for content, but I'm not going to fucking do it for, like, every random Tom, Dick, and Harry who's going to fucking try to activate and mobilize their community to fucking clip me out of context and, like, make a million YouTube videos out of it to be like, haha, Hasan believes this position that he doesn't actually hold. And they do it anyway, even when I don't debate them. So I have, for the record, I have debated people. I've debated people on television. I've debated some of the most prominent conservative speakers on that circuit. They are all readily available. I've debated people at Politicon. So, you know, that's I mean, guys, one of the last people I debated was almost the governor of California. You know what I mean? Like, that's... So that's it's something that I'm not, like, again, it's like Tim Pool is a great... Liberals literally edited and twisted your debate with CT to make you look like you lost, so you're absolutely correct. Yeah, it's just like, people, at a certain point, I think that people don't even care about it. Like, the debate pervert circuit will straight up distort and make reactionary debate opponents look better. You know?
If the idea is that past trauma always equals current inequality, or that my actions in, say, robbing a convenience store are attributable to bad actions that happened in Alabama in 1930, the answer to that is no. Don't rob...
Wait, what?
...current inequality, or that my actions in, say, robbing a convenience store are attributable to bad actions that happened in Alabama in 1930, the answer to that is no. Don't rob the convenience store. The only way...
Dude, holy shit. Just say the N-word, Ben. What the fuck? Yo, he just said, like, you know, black people are criminals. Straight up. Like, that's awesome. Ben literally, he's just no holds barred. He got like a little bit of pushback and he literally was like, I'm going there now. That's crazy. This is perhaps the furthest you can go. For the record, this is the furthest you can fucking go without, like, actually saying the N-word. This is like when a 14-year-old in a Call of Duty lobby is, like, losing the game and just says the N-word over and over again. That's Ben's version of that. He's doing exactly that. He's emotionally and mentally stunted and is 100% doing that without actually saying it. He's just like, well, you know, past trauma does not mean you can rob a convenience store, black people. That's what he's saying. And is, of course, like, ironically, an incredibly liberal analysis that is completely fucking devoid of any sort of materialist perspective attached to it, okay? Crime, specifically crime of that magnitude, of that sort, manifests in environments that have been held back due to their material conditions, due to the historic subjugation that people have been forced to exist in. He just basically went into, you know, only black people cause crimes and they blame prior wrongs for it. I'm glad that guy can respond to this dumb take. Oh, wait, he's gone, lol. Exactly.
The way they are going to be able to break the chain of history is to make good decisions. What people on the left don't like to talk about is actual solutions. What they like to do is bitch about problems that existed 60 years ago and blame those.
Oh, dude, he hit the fucking Gary V note. He said bitch.
Failure solutions.
Okay, this is not a new take, and this is not a unique take, and this is not even a correct take, which, you know, you can say about pretty much everything that conservatives fucking recycle. The only thing they recycle, which is, you know, old talking points. He literally is just doing the exact same thing that they do all the fucking time, which is like black people are bitching about, racism. Racism ended when slavery ended. Okay, maybe not. Racism ended when, Martin Luther King ended racism during the Civil Rights Movement. Okay, maybe not. Racism ended when Obama became president. Like, that's just the most common fucking right-wing retaliation. No analysis whatsoever about like why intergenerational poverty it plays a significant role in the development of certain communities, and how that still has lasting impact in contemporary society. And every single time you try to have that conversation, they turn around and go, no, they're going to rely on the pre-existing white supremacist attitudes that the audience holds on to as well, especially a conservative audience like that. The pre-existing attitudes that they have about pre-existing white supremacist attitudes they have about like black people cause crimes, they're scary. And then they complain about it and say, well, we had no other choice. We're doing crimes because, slavery. Every single sociological school of thought agrees with you. Material conditions is what will likely be the likelihood of crime occurring. Yes, and it's not even new. Like fucking ancient Greece, they had this argument. Like people understood this concept that crime is a consequence of poverty all the fucking way back in like ancient Greece. And conservatives back then were advocating against that as they are now. So not much has changed. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna use a reductive analysis here that like liberals can comprehend, and maybe even conservatives if they work their brain a little bit. Okay, it's either intrinsic or extrinsic factors that have held black people back. Okay, if you believe they're intrinsic factors, you believe that black people are somehow genetically different than white people or Jewish people or other historically marginalized communities, okay? And that's why they are not able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. If you think that it's extrinsic factors, then you understand that structural racism exists, which, by the way, the intrinsic factors that's just literally you're racist. You're just trying to add an intellectual patina to your white supremacist attitude when you say that. You try to say it's not race, it's culture. Okay, why is black culture impacted? Black culture is the most popular, most successful, most commoditized culture. Why doesn't it impact white people in the same way? Ultimately, you always go back to some kind of difference between black people and white people in this circumstance. Okay? There's more white people that listen to rap music than there are black people. If that's the case, then, if that's the case, then fucking white people would be impacted in a similar capacity. If that was culture. Wait, what? I mean, it's true. It's literally true. There are more white people than there are black people in America. So, of course, there are more white people that listen to rap music than there are black people. It's the most successful fucking genre on the planet. What do you mean by impact? What I mean by impact is this. Conservatives can't any longer say black people are genetically inferior and that's why they're in destitute, poverty-struck conditions. That was the original talking point, okay? All the way until the fucking 60s, okay? Straight up. Go back to any fucking circumstance. Go back to the Jim Crow era. Go back to Reconstruction. Go back to any era, and you will hear from conservatives openly state that black people were genetically different and therefore inferior and therefore servile or therefore aggressive and angry. Okay? Now, when it became inappropriate to openly state that, then they moved on to different ways of saying that same thing. They tried to, again, go back to the science and justify it through the bell curve, or they tried to say, well, it's their culture. It's their culture that is the reason why black people are in worse material circumstances than white people. Okay? But if that was the case, then all facets that black culture impacts, which is the most commodified culture, would get the same kind of setbacks. This is, of course, if you even believe that culture can dictate your material conditions and not vice versa. I personally believe I am closer to Gramsci's attitude on this, where I think that it's more so a reflection of the base rather than the other way around. I do think that culture is just a mirror held up to our conditions. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.